G'day everyone, welcome to the How to Halo Marine tutorial. My name's Andrew DFT, and let's get started. So we're going to be working on the legs, which are these pieces here. So by the end of the tutorial you should have them nicely looking like this, all cut out, nice and clean, and ready to be sealed and painted and strapped together. So if I was to rate this, I would definitely give it a 3 out of 10. This is a very simple build, and a lot of you guys should find it quite easy. These are very simple designs that will be attached to the feet and can be created out of the foam pretty simply, as we're about to find out. So to make this web series a lot easier for you, I've actually taken the liberty and completely designed my own PDF document which contains all the templates for all the individual pieces we will cover in this web series. So as you can see here, it's about a 35-page document. It includes a few intro pages covering who I am, what I do, as well as the materials we'll be using within this web series, as well as a bonus tutorial which you can only find in this PDF document, as well as the full range of templates, all scaled and ready to go. All you need to do is pretty much buy the document, print it out, and it's good to go to follow along as soon as I start in this tutorial. So of course, if you're wanting that, click in the description box below. You'll see the link that'll take you directly there, and you can do the rest yourself. So jumping right in, we're going to go ahead and cut out the basic A4 template with somewhat sharp scissors. That way it doesn't tear at the piece of paper itself. You just want to cut along the perimeter line as I'm showing you here in the video until they're completely cut free, both objects. So now once they're both cut out, you can grab a pen or a pencil, whatever you wish, so we can start tracing around the objects. So when running the pen or the pencil along the foam, I would advise not pressing in too hard. You want to keep it very light, but strong enough that it does leave the impression on the foam so you can see where the outline is once it's transferred. Otherwise you could end up denting or ruining the foam, which we obviously don't want. Now that the lines are on there, we can go grab a nice sharp blade and prepare to actually cut these from the foam core. So when you start slicing this material, you really want to make sure that you're getting nice controlled cuts. You want to make sure you're hitting those lines and not going inside the template itself. The reason being, if you go inside the template itself, even making one scratch, it will most definitely show up when we heat form this, and due to the way that we're going to process this by shaping it, it will stand out incredibly strong, which of course we don't want. Now that the two designs have been cut free of the foam core, we can go get a heat gun so we can start preparing to heat form these into shape. So using the heat gun, you want to carefully apply an even amount of heat to the overall design. You don't want to hold it in one space too long, as it could burn and then you might ruin the overall look. So carefully apply it evenly. Once you've got it hot enough, you can start heat forming it with your hand and kind of giving it a nice bend to create that shoe-like shape that will go around your ankle and your shoe tip. Hopefully after it's cooled down, you can spin it around and it should have held its form, and you can just double check that it made the bend even. And then we can go follow the exact same process and heat up the other design, and then of course bend it into shape, making sure you're applying that heat evenly across the entire design, and then also bending the shape evenly so that it doesn't look lopsided, but it looks nicely curved and all around nice, so that it can curve over the tips of your shoes. Of course, then once it's somewhat hardened, it should look nice, and both of them should be sitting there perfectly formed, and you're all done. Now the next step would be to add in some of the detailing, which we can now go and do. As you can see here, the little bolts that we're going to put on the top. Now an easier way to do this would be to use other items that are also cylindrical, but if you don't have access to those, we can use a simple coin and trace around it onto the foam core like so. We're going to need 8, 4 on each, so go ahead and trace out those 8, all the same size, and then we can start cutting them out. Now ensure you have a very sharp blade with this, as the foam isn't going to really like you cutting this amount of detail, so it's going to fight you quite a bit. So ensure that you've just changed out your blade, and you should be slicing through this foam pretty easy at this stage. And we're going to go ahead and cut the block of foam in half so that we get a nice thinner piece of foam. And we're going to start trimming up the little circles so we can start cutting all the edges off to kind of give it more of a cylindrical effect rather than the square shape it's currently in. So do your best. It might be a bit scratchy and edgy, but in the end it's going to look nice and it's going to give out that rustic form. But to make it even better, we can go ahead with some sandpaper and carefully shave off the edges just to get rid of the worst of the trimming. Then we can go take a heat gun to it, and that will really soften up the foam and it will bring in those hard edges to make it more cylindrical. And then to finish it off, put some hot glue, hold it into place, and hopefully it will just sit in nicely on there. And then once those are all glued on, you should be able to look back at the design and see that it's all looking nice and fine. Of course, you can already see there's a few little edges on the circle, but that doesn't matter. It'll all look nice once painted. So that's it. Hopefully you guys are pretty happy with the way your one turned out. Now, of course, remember this is for one leg. You are going to need to duplicate the process, so you should have 2 of these and 2 of these to cover both your 2 legs. Now that those are out of the way, you can put them aside somewhere nice and safe, and we can start getting on to the next parts of armor. So definitely click another link and it'll take you to that video. Thank you very much for watching, guys.